Welcome to the Fix Your Crown King podcast. My name is Rich Gibbons, and I'm the creator and host of the Fix Your Crown King podcast. I am a man and a strong advocate for mental health within men. I believe and support the processes of changing the stigma surrounded by mental health in men. This podcast was designed to be a safe haven, a place for men to come and talk about what it is they feel. Men who are confused or unsure about the daily struggles they face in life. Did you know that nearly 1 in 10 men experience some form of depression or anxiety, but less than half seek treatment? Feeling depressed or anxious is not unusual or shameful. Let's not make it shameful. After all, we wear crowns. Fix your crown, King. You deserve it. Welcome back, family, friends, and most of all, kings, to the Fix Your Crown King podcast. I'm your host, Rich Gibbons. Hey, today we have an awesome show in store. We have an amazing guest, my friend, my brother, Jeremy Wesby. Jeremy Wesby is a warrant officer in the United States Army, a signal warrant officer. He's an aspiring life coach, multiple things. I won't highlight his introduction. I'll allow him to do that. How about you all help me to give him a warm welcome? Jay Wes, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Man, what's up, my guy Rich? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I cannot complain. Hey, man, thank you so much, brother, for taking time out your busy schedule to come and join me on this platform.
Oh man, glad to be here, man. I'm glad you made that call to have me come up here.
For sure. Obviously, man, you know why we do this and what this platform stands for, right? What we do is we advocate for mental health in men. And we as men, we all go through things, man. We all deal with things in life, and it's having a partnership or brothers around you, man. That's really what makes you better and stronger through those things, man. So I wanted you to help me talk about some of the things that we deal with in life as men, man. So I watched you go through some things last year, and we won't talk about it, but I watched you go through some things last year, man, and you dealt with so well. Obviously, you it was painful, but you dealt with it in a way that it inspired me to become better and learn how to deal with my mental health, man. So if you don't mind, man, just let's talk about some of the things you've gone through, and let's give our listeners some advice and some tips on how to be better mentally, man.
Man. I mean, you met me at a really interesting time, man. Without saying too much, man, it was just a lot I was going through at the moment. And to where I had to actually I had to look at myself, man. I had to look at my part and see what part I played and where I was at that time in my life, and had to do a lot of searching and growing and searching and growing and searching and growing. And I mean, I've honestly learned a whole lot, man, to where it's like I feel like I can write a whole book, a whole 2 or 3 books on going through something like that and how to get out on top. Even though I feel like in a lot of ways I'm still going through some things and I'm still learning, I feel like now I do have a better picture on how to maneuver and different things I could have done that could have prevented where I was at, and made it better or just prevented it altogether to not be in a situation. So I don't know if I answered any of your questions without being too specific. I mean,
Oh
just
no,
giving a general answer to that question, yeah,
oh for sure, no,
that's what helped me.
no, absolutely, man. You answered it masterfully. What I gather from that is there's beauty in the struggle. Like we all have to go through things, and while you're going through a storm, you don't understand why you're in this storm. All you know is you're in a storm and you're trying to fight your way out of it. But in the end, the clouds are gone and the sun comes out. There's beauty in it. So that struggle always leads to beauty, man. That's good, man. Hey, Jay, something I didn't do, man, when we first started. Can you let the audience know who you are? I gave a brief introduction, but can you let the people know who you are, man, and just a little bit about yourself and where you from, brother?
Certainly, man. What's good, everybody? My name is Jeremy Wesby. I'm from Hampton, Virginia. Was born in New York, raised in Virginia. Didn't finish high school, got my GED. Lived a little bit. Aspired to be a drummer. At some point, I joined the Army at the age of 24. Um, I went in there as a 25 Bravo, which is information technology specialist. I did that. I've been in the Army now for going on 16 years. Now I'm a warrant. signal warrant, like Rich said earlier. And I mean, just throughout my journey, I think now more than ever, I try to help young people that join the military or just young people or whoever, man. It's just how to live more intentional with a purpose, how not to be so just day by day. Actually know what you're doing, what you're trying to do, and getting after it. It's best to be intentional and know what you're doing and make mistakes early in life, of course, like you hear about all the time. Make mistakes early. That way you can bounce back. And so that's just me. Right now, I've worked with Big Brother, Big Sisters at some of my other duty locations, and I mean that's cool as it cool and as cool as it is. I was working with onesies and twosies, and I kind of want to work with more young adults or young children, young men and women on a bigger scale, bigger spectrum. So I kind of started my own little achievable mindset LLC to where um, the vision, started off as me, but now it's kind of growing to where I have, more mentors. That's partner with me to where we can actually go into schools, go into juvenile detention centers, and I mean even here in the army, man, and or any military force, and just try to help people and help guide them to be a little bit more intentional. But that's something I feel led to do, and that's me in a nutshell. So that's what I do part time while I'm in the army.
That's awesome. With that, I heard you talk a lot about mentorship and development, right? So a lot of times, in order for us to develop other people, we have to self-develop. So I want that to be the topic and the basis of our conversation tonight. Let's talk about self-development because you came in the military at 24 years old. Something that you didn't discuss, and I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, is you joined the military without a high school diploma, correct?
Yeah, correct.
And you beat the odds of coming in the military and successfully becoming a military warrant officer or army warrant officer, and now you're working on a college degree. So that's all self development. Now, in your own terms, man, when you hear self development, what do you think about self development, and what keeps you motivated to continue to develop yourself?
Being able to actually have the credentials or just the validity to speak to anybody, really. You know what I'm saying? And I can't. And then also, being a husband, man. I've learned that being a husband is being a leader. It's a lot of things I have to lead by example when it comes to being in my household. And so it starts with me. If I'm not able to check myself first in my house, how am I able to tell my wife or anybody how I feel about anything or how to do it? And then from there, being a leader at work, same thing. If I'm not out there doing it first, if I'm not doing it myself, how am I going to bestow that upon my soldiers that are under me and looking for my guidance? So I just always try to check myself. I check myself first. Any situation, even if I feel like it's a good situation, I still look at what I could have did differently, what would have been more impactful. And I mean, it's something that's guided me to where I feel like it helps just, you know, with dealing with situations.
Absolutely. So hearing that, like most people, when we go through things in life, right, we can deal with the good in life. When life is good, we have a system, we have structure, and we handle it to a T. But it's when life gets hard that people kind of deviate from their original plan. Mike Tyson said it best. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? So let me ask you this because I met you when I met you, man. We both were at difficult times in our lives, and I didn't know you in depth as much as I know you now. But later on through our relationship, as our relationship grew, I learned that you were going through something in life and you were dealing with it, right? But the way you handled it when you walked in the room and you commanded, like let's be honest, man, that the respect in the room, you never let anybody know what you were going through. But learning you and learning your situation and your history, I saw that you were going through something. How did you deal with that and continue to display the things you just spoke about? How was that so important to continue to do that and be that leader in your house and at work? How did you do that, and how important was that for you?
I stopped caring. I didn't care at the time about anything or anyone around me other than what I was going through. I mean, it's funny to hear you say. It's funny to hear you say you couldn't tell. I mean, because I started cutting my hair myself. So,
Yeah,
my
we
haircuts were
saw
worse.
that. Yeah.
So, it's like started cutting my hair myself, and that was a struggle. But I didn't care. Like if it was jacked up, I was proud because it was less jacked up than the one I did before. So it was like, yeah, look at this. But this is better. If one side looked better than the other, it was proud. It was just like, I did that. So I just learned to not care and just take pride in what the journey, what I'm saying, what I knew I was becoming, what I knew was at the other end, and how that looked versus just being, mindful of, everything around me. And so that's honestly how I was able to do it. I just didn't care, what I'm saying? And then, I mean, I still, I try to just have a heart, I lead with empathy when it comes to a lot of stuff. That's my biggest thing. And so when I talk to, everyone matters. And I just try to lead with that, and I try to, respond that way. And I guess by the skin of my teeth, because I didn't feel like I was as good as you say I was. I felt like I was going through it and everybody could see it.
It's funny you say that because like you were my motivation, right? And I tell you this all the time. You were so disciplined in everything you were doing that it made me take a look at myself because I was going through my situation and I was the total opposite. I gave up. It's almost like I knew how to fix the situation when I gave up, and I looked at you for inspiration. And you were my motivation, man. And what you held was total discipline and everything. If you say you're going to do something, you make sure you did it no matter how hard it was. And I know that's part of I know that was your character then, but just seeing you go through that and also seeing myself go through the things I've gone through, the attributes that were contributed to our character from that storm is really what put us here and what's allowing us to reach the heights we're trying to reach. Again, and that's part of your self development, whether you want it or not. We are self developing in those moments of turmoil, in those storms. We're becoming better people. We're developing ourselves because we have to learn how to overcome what it is we're going through.
Thank you for that, right? I think you don't know what it looks like until you have like affirmations of from people like you that may say things that help uplift you, you know what I'm saying, or affirm what you thought you were doing. And they be like, yeah, man, that's exactly what I saw. You know what I'm saying? And even if I felt like that's not what I was doing, being that that's something you saw, it lets me know at least I was doing something sort of that way. And maybe to the point where it's like, sometimes it's like you feel like you have to be a positive person, right? I try to be positive. I try to do certain things. And you feel like that's not what you're being. But when you have someone come up to you and they just affirm, by saying,
Yes.
"Oh man, you," like somebody said to me the other day, like, "You're very optimistic,"
Yep.
and I was like, "Word," because I feel like I'm not. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of gives you that drive to continue doing that because, again, I always want to check myself. I always want to make sure if that's something I'm after, I want to make sure that I'm always constantly practicing it.
For
So
sure.
I appreciate you saying that.
For sure, man. Something you just said that made me hit on, that made me think about something that's helped me so well in the year 2023 is, and it's something we talked about a lot, man, a vision board and affirmations in the morning. And listening to those positive podcasts in the morning, the motivational speeches, that affirmation piece is important for us as men sometimes when we don't know we don't see all the things we're doing and how we contribute to society or life or work, whatever. Sometimes that little one little affirmation can put us to where we need to be in order to keep going and give something to somebody else who needs it. You know what I mean? So it's very important that we not only affirm each other but affirm ourselves, man. Like it used to be a problem. We talk about this, we joke about this. I used to think it was weird telling my brother, "Hey man, I'm proud of you," or "I love you," or "Hey man," you know what I mean? Like that used to be weird to me for us to get together and talk about entrepreneurship or spiritual things and how to better each other. That to me, that used to be a sign of weakness. But you don't know how much you may need that the affirmation or the push from a brother or a friend, man, until you have that and you reach a certain level in your life. So yeah, it's important.
Oh man, it's definitely important, man. And I think, especially, again, I guess me looking back. going through that, I feel like I failed. I feel like everything that you said, I did not do. I feel like I did break. I feel like I was broken. Because even in that place, I got to an even worse place, and so it's like when I hear how you say that, it kind of helps because it's like, okay, at least I was, displaying strength in an area where I feel like I was weak. I was displaying me getting after it on an area where I felt like I didn't, and so it kind of helps. It pushes, and I think that's the biggest thing, and that's what it's about, and that's why I like trying to, give, just different outlooks in life because it's too easy to look at the negative.
For sure. Now, most people, man, most people, men, women, whoever, we've all been in a dark space in our lives, right? And it's those dark times is when really you set yourself apart from who you are and who you want to be, right? And also who you were. Because either you can sit there and be the person you are right now, the wallow, or the person that wants to give up on life, that don't want to be anything, or you can say, I want to give myself the best opportunity to be the best version of me. So those dark times is really what builds us. It can build you into the person you want to be or build you into the person that you don't want to be. You know what I mean? And it's really about how you deal with it, man. I really think you dealt with it and you're still dealing with it. We're still dealing with traumas. Let's call it what it is, traumas from our past. We're dealing with in a way to improve upon our life. So I think that's an awesome thing. If you think back to the happiest time in your life, man, or the happiest time in your adult life, what did that time look like for you?
My wedding day was a great time. It was a great time. And then another time was when I was competing, I did a competition. It was my first and only one. It was a goal I set for myself. I worked hard towards it and I competed and I got what, first and third. It was just to me, I know I went through a lot of different adversity. I went through a lot of just different things that, because when you're doing those, you have what I had a 6 course meal. You know what I'm saying? So I have 6 meals I got to eat. Everything is timed. At that part, at that time, they put me on guard duty. I was a staff sergeant, man. They put me on guard or gate guard. I was a augmentee, guarding Fort Sam Houston base, and it was from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. But I had to wake up at like 3 in the morning to get there because we had to be at 4 in the morning to to get our weapon draw and all that other stuff. A lot of crazy stuff to prep for. But this is in the middle of my prep, so I'm trying having to eat, drink 2 gallons of water, all these different things while I'm doing that, and it just kind of got in the way. It just created adversity for it, and so being that I was still successful, I still met my goal. It really made it to, it was awesome to see me actually go through a process and come out on top.
For sure. Listen, and I asked that question specifically because I knew that that was going to be a time when you were happiest, right? When you're competing. When now for the listeners, competing bodybuilding. He's a bodybuilder. He's very heavy into fitness. Actually, he didn't even talk about it. He's also a personal trainer. But I'll let him talk about that later on. But I asked you that specifically because I wanted to know and I wanted you to think about this. And I charge every person listening to this podcast to do the same thing. So thinking back to your happiest time, what did your day look like on your happiest time? Right? That's a rhetorical question. What did your day look like on a happy day back in the day? And then think about what did my typical day look like on a bad day? There are bad times in my life and distinguish between those two as to what the difference was. Like, what am I doing differently at my bad time in life and my good time in life? And how can I eliminate that in the future? You know what I mean? So that's why I asked you that question. I charge every listener with what's the difference between your day on your happiest time and your day at your worst time? What's the difference between the two? And how do you eliminate the bad and find some middle common ground? I got a good quote for you, man. Just on the lines of this. The only difference between a good day and a bad day is your attitude. That's the only difference. The only difference between a good day and a bad day is a person's attitude.
If you don't mind, I mean, was that rhetorical for them or me as well?
It was rhetorical for for you as well, but I mean, if you want to elaborate on it, but if you would like to elaborate on it, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, man, just to elaborate, because when you say that, it's like it's the intention behind it, right?
Yeah,
So again, attention, living intentionally versus unintentionally. So I had controls. I already knew what meals I needed to eat. I knew what I was after. So there was nothing that stopped that. When I was on gate guard, I'm out there. I gotta check these people ID before they come on the gate. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. But I did not stop drinking my 2 gallons that day. So every time I had to use the bathroom, because you're drinking all that water, every time I had to relieve myself, I turned that that light on and I went. Not only that, I let everybody know, hey, I'm training. So I may have to use the bathroom here, a lot, often because I'm training and I got to drink this amount of water. I may have to take a break because I got to eat my food. And I think, and the reason I'm saying this is that because I was in control. You know what I'm saying? No matter what happened, I didn't let anything deviate my controls. You know what I'm saying? And so I think a lot of times what happens is we allow life to deviate our path. We allow life to dictate if we're going to the gym or not. We allow life to dictate if we're why we didn't say I love you. We allow life to dictate, you know what I'm saying, whatever it is we have going through it, instead of making it controls and understand the reason why we're doing what we're doing. It's in place for a reason, right? So, the I love yous, the talks, the anything that should be a constant is there for a reason because it helps build where you're trying to get to and get through life. And if you let anything deviate that, then you allow those gaps to happen and those holes, and then that's how you kind of fall off your path.
yeah.
So just to kind of marry it together, but I digress.
No, that was a great answer, man. The key thing you spoke was control, man. A lot of times when I hear the word control, I kind of put it to what I in my life systems, right? For me, I think my control is having a system, like waking up. When I wake up every day, I hit the gym or I go to PT, and I come home, I read a book or whatever it is I'm doing at my in my system in my world. That keeps me going, right? That keeps me motivated. But the moment I have to deviate from that, it's like I fall off track sometimes, and I have to push myself back. So that was a great response to the rhetorical question. But it was awesome, man. I appreciate that, man. But I asked you this question right here, right? Because your response was awesome. But for the listeners out there, what happens when life hits you and you have no control of the situation? How do you deal with that then? The loss of a loved one, a shortened marriage, or how do you deal with? How would you advise our listeners to deal with that when you can't control what life throws at you?
So again, Rich said, he says system, I go with routine. Know your routine. Know what makes you flow, right? Everybody, I don't know if you heard of the flow state. I was listening to something with, oh man, his name is, I'm losing it right now. But it was a event. Um, but they were talking about their flow state, but what gets you to your flow state is your routine, right? And the reason why I say know your routine is because if you know your routine, you know when you're off of it.
Yeah,
And life happens. You know what I'm saying? The biggest thing is though, is just to know when you're off your routine. So, something happens and it hits you hard. Yeah, you might be off your routine a day. Something might hit you hard and you're off your routine for 2 weeks. It can be a month. But as long as you have a routine, something you have that's set and the systematic, right? It's your controls, it's whatever it is. Just get back to it as fast as you can. Right?
absolutely.
That's your routine. That's what keeps you grounded. That's what keeps you guided. Right? Don't allow now because you fell off your routine to further fall off your routine and never go back to it. It's just like a train falling off the track. You know what I'm saying? Of course it can't pick itself up because it's a train, but it's just like you have to set yourself, give your life some tracks, right? And when you know you are coming off those tracks, okay, let me just get back, let me dial back in because I see I'm coming off the mark. So I mean that's the best advice I can give without, trying to say what to do exactly,
Absolutely.
but just knowing you, how you can self-regulate. I know I'm falling off my routine. I fell off my routine this much. Let me go back to what I know works and it has been working for me.
Hey, again, another great response, man. I think that was an awesome soliloquy for the question, right? So what I say is, what I gathered from that is building healthy habits and building healthy routines and sticking to them. That goes with knowing yourself, knowing having a true identity, knowing who you are, and knowing your threshold, your mental threshold, and what you can take and what you can't take. It's like almost setting boundaries for yourself. In a nutshell, that's what I gathered from that, man. Just healthy routines and knowing yourself, right? There's beauty in the struggle. So what we have to understand is, men, because we're gonna go through things in life. And again, we often get so caught up in the storm with the storm. I'm going through a storm right now, and I can't see through this through the rain, and the lightning is hit that the lightning is scaring me, and the thunder, and I can't hear through the thunder. We That's all we see. We don't see that at some point you're going to be out this storm. And right now, if I'm walking through the storm, the only way I can get out of the storm is to continue to move forward. That's the routine. Continue to move forward no matter what in order to get out the storm. But it's oftentimes that it's so hard to get through the storm and it's so uncomfortable. That's all we focus on. We have to focus on what's outside of this storm. And that goes along with the routine and building those healthy habits, man. So yeah, it's beauty in the struggle. Every time it's beauty in the struggle. I'll say this not to belabor this point, but we all go through seasons in life, just like the earth has different seasons. And I talked about it on one of my earlier episodes. The earth has different seasons for different reasons, and you see different things in each season. In the summertime, it's hot. In the fall, you're going to get the beautiful leaves. Winter, you're going to get the cold. Each season brings a different challenge to the earth. But that season is only a quarter of the year, and it goes on to a next season. It may be a better season for the earth or maybe a worse season, but it's a different season for you to experience something new. Make the best of every season you're in. You're not going to be in a season for your entire life. Make the best out of each season and learn to adapt to the season you're in. All right, enough about that. I want to talk about your fitness journey, right? And I want to talk about what it does for you mentally, right? So when I talked earlier about the things you were going through last year and what you dealt with, I noticed that when you went to the gym or you did your thing physically, you kind of left everything else outside the gym. Can you talk about how important it was for you to go to the gym and to work on yourself physically to improve your mental state?
Oh man, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's all over social media, man. But for me, I mean, I'm just saying because there's a lot of stuff out there. I don't want to sound like
Oh,
I'm
okay.
reiterating
Okay.
stuff,
Yeah.
but for me, the gym is not just a gym to live. It's an institution for me. It's a place where solitude. It's a place where I can go, and I mean, my best ideas come from the gym. My best feats come from the gym as far as goals, setting goals and reaching them, and then just making stuff make sense. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is hard work, right? It's a lot of times, often we can't see what's going on inside. Again, it's to the point where you were like, hey, you were telling me how I looked, but I didn't know. I didn't know that's how I looked. With the gym, the you go in there consistently and you work hard enough, you start seeing changes. You know what I'm saying? And to me, the gym is just a reflection on the outside of what you're doing on the inside.
Yes.
If you're working on yourself just as hard. So it's, to me, it's as important because just, you just going there, just doing what you're doing is it helps me because it takes me out the situation. That's when I also listen to my audiobooks, my podcast, just different things that help me challenge myself. So it helped me in that way because I didn't want to be too still, right? If you're too still, you get out of shape, you put on weight, you do a whole bunch of different things to where now you're falling off your routine pretty much. You know what I'm saying? And I think me knowing I'm on my routine is first gym. That's how my routine. If I'm in the gym, it's going to keep me locked in for the most part because that's what helps guide everything else. So I just use that as my baseline.
For sure. And it's important for you to have a baseline. It's important for us as men to have a baseline. Like whatever your baseline may be, if it's working on cars, if it's reading, whatever we all need a place to go to when we find that the world is too much to bear. We have to understand that we can't put the entire world on our shoulders. In the past, we were taught to put the entire world on our shoulders and hide your feelings and hide your emotions. And yeah, but that didn't get us anywhere. You're in control of things on the outside, but on the inside, there's a war raging, right? So we have to learn how to get away from the world sometime and deal with what's on the inside. So a baseline is very important. Hey Jay, man, this has been awesome, man. I thank you so much for stopping by, man, and just joining this podcast with us. We talked about a lot of things today, and a lot of things that can help some people around the world. We're about to close this thing out, man, but I asked you if there's anything you want to leave with our listeners, man, or anything else you want to share.
So I appreciate the opportunity. And it's just stay encouraged, man. You know what I'm saying? Like no movement is no movement, right? So you don't want to remain still too long because if you remain still, nothing's happening. You know what I'm saying? And so you want to just remain constant. And if you're going after something, uh, take the time to yourself to you know to meditate, think on what you're trying to do. But then after that, go ahead and go after it. Have some movement, do something. It can be dangerous sometimes when you're just too still, right? That's how depression starts. That's how just a lot of things creep in, and you don't want that. So whatever you need to do to keep your morale high, keep your head high, I think it's good to do. And yeah, man, I appreciate the opportunity, Rich.
Well, there it is, man. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by, man. Again, I'm looking forward to the next conversation, this next episode, brother. Hey, let's give it up for my boy Jay West. Hey, Kings, as always, thank you all for listening. And as always, I want to share resources with you all. As of late, I've been researching BetterHelp.com. BetterHelp is a platform where it's a 100% online therapist application. They have vetted therapists. They have experienced therapists. They can help you go through what it is you're going through. If you're not ready to take that step to sit in with a licensed therapist in person, hey, check out BetterHelp.com. You can chat with a therapist, you can talk to a therapist, or you can video chat with a therapist. I encourage you to take that step. Hey, Kings, love yourself. Love is power. It's power in love. Be powerful, Kings. After all, we're all kings. Fix your crown. You deserve it.